Our report starts with a Portsmouth official who has a personal story. Someone close to Councillor Hannah Hockaday has been taking legal highs. She knows from experience that the substances can ruin lives.
It's a difficult situation, but I guess that's where a lot of the drive for a ban has come from, because when you see someone close to you really deteriorate through taking the legal highs, it's a really sad situation, it's devastating to anyone, whether it's a family member, a friend. It doesn't matter. You know, they have devastating effects. So we just need to try and raise awareness of how dangerous they are, and to try and stop them from travelling around, the city that we live in. I can't really say that much about it, to be honest, but things have been happening for a period of time, and the effects only worsened from taking legal highs. So I can personally see where someone can deteriorate really quickly within their mind, and any actions being taken. So
we want to find out more about legal highs and what they look like. We've decided to source one of the products to gather more information. Here's one of the cheapest legal highs, marketed as herbal incense. This one costs £7, and as you can see from the branding, it would be easy to think this was a packet of sweets. It looks like something fun. But appearances can be deceiving. On the back there's a list of chemicals, some of which I can't even pronounce. It says not fit for human consumption, and the possible side effects include acute psychosis, severe high blood pressure, vomiting, nausea, and restlessness. The government has imposed a 12-month ban on some of the compounds used in legal highs, but Portsmouth councillor Stephen Hastings says he's determined to remove the products completely. He has a chemical background and has written to the UK government outlining his solution.
If we want to stop legal highs from being on our streets, why don't we simply just ban the whole lot? And I talked about this at a group meeting one evening. I was just going through it all the stuff that was in my head, and actually I got a round of applause from from all of our group, and they said, that's a brilliant idea. I said, oh, is it? Okay, right, well, if it's that brilliant, let's do something about it. And I was talking to Donna Jones, and going backpedal slightly, I said the idea is to ban all chemicals in food and drink. So you start from that perspective. Then, of course, that you think, well, can't do that because that brings in Coca-Cola, Lucozade and da-da-da. We don't want them off the shelves, do we? So what we do is we put the ban 3 months ahead, and that at that point, between now and that point, what we do is we certify all those products that we think are okay to be on the shelf, like the Coca-Colas and so on. So, yeah, nothing wrong with them. We'll leave them as they are. They don't have to do anything. It's just we know they're okay, that we're fine with that. But these other substances, they then can't manufacture. Well, they can manufacture them, but they can't sell them. They can't put them on the shelves of our stores, because if they do, trading standards will whip them off because they're now illegal. You haven't got a certification. And if you haven't got a certification, trading standards can remove them.
Councillor Hastings is continuing with his plan and hopes to remove legal highs from Portsmouth as soon as possible.
Staying positive like I am in heaven. If anyone stops me, no doubt I'm today. I've been inspired by music since I was 11 years.
In the meantime, youngsters from Gosport are using music to educate people about the dangers. They are from Motivate, a charity that tries to improve the life chances of young people.
They've had friends that have gone the wrong path due to legal highs. They just see it's really important to them. We're an organisation who feels it's really, really important to get the message out, and it's far more important, I think, for young people to give that message to young people, just about how dangerous they can be.
I know it's hard to remember.
highs, they're not safe. Just because they're legal, it doesn't mean they're safe. And if you're going to try them, make sure you're in a safe environment and you know what you're doing.
Basically, they're exactly the same as normal drugs. They're still as dangerous, and they can affect you in the same ways.
If you're going to do them,
or don't do them at all.
Yeah, or don't do them at all. But if you are going to do them, then make sure you're with people that know what they're doing.
And try to be safe. Yeah. And if you're drunk or whatever, just make sure
you're not drunk.
Yeah, you're not that drunk that you don't know what you're doing and you take drugs.
So you're always in control of yourself.
Yeah.
But 99.9% of the time, you don't actually know what's in them. It can say one thing on the packet, but be completely different actually in the packet.
Yeah.
So.
Gosport officials say legal highs are a local concern on the peninsula. Some young people have ended up in hospital over the past few months.
Legal highs are becoming more and more a problem. In Gosport here we do have a methadone problem, but legal highs are obviously adding more and more to the problems of drugs in Gosport locally.
Many people that start off buying legal highs have then developed on to trying methadone, which is now actually a Class B substance. And I think what we do see in these young people is a change in their behaviour, and that's not just us as the police and residents, this is the families of people that try legal highs and methadone as well. And I think that's the bit that causes us the most concern, that it can alter young people's behaviour, and that in turn can then, give rise to antisocial behaviour issues.
Hampshire Police is calling for tough government action to remove legal highs from the Solent area. And what do you think about having more kind of joined up approach throughout the UK so that if they are banned in Portsmouth or in Hampshire, that people won't just source them from somewhere else in the UK?
I think it's important that government legislates against the use of legal highs, and of course that would be nationwide. At the moment we're struggling, individual police forces across the country, to combat the sale of these poisons, which are legal. They shouldn't be, but they are legal, and they're poisoning people. If people were poisoned at this rate when they went into a restaurant or a fast food outlet, the businesses would be closed down overnight. Legal highs should be banned because they are mind-altering substances, and they're affecting young people particularly in their body and mind.
And just take it slowly.
Peter Stanley sells the products from his shop in Havant. It's known as a head shop. His business is more focused on campaigning for the legalisation of cannabis, but he'd lose half of his revenue if legal highs were banned, about £200 or £300 per day. And interestingly, he doesn't use the substances himself.
My personal opinion is I wouldn't try them, I wouldn't touch them, and if someone come through the door, I'd try and, educate them about the dangers of it and everything else, because that's all it's about, really. Don't point the blame at the shops. Get the shops to educate people about it, because this stuff will ultimately go underground. If you ban it, it'll these Russian guys and whoever else who's making this stuff in their sheds out wherever they're doing, it will become unregulated and it'll become even more dangerous than what it is now, in my opinion.
So if you admit that you're not saying that they are good and you try and educate people, so why did you make that decision to sell them?
Because for the first 3 weeks when I opened the shop, every person that come through the door was asking for it. So we looked into it, we looked at the legalities of it and how openly available it was. We looked at the fact that there were already 4 shops in Portsmouth already selling it and they had no problems. So we took the view that we'd sell it as well. It was literally a demand thing,
Some people say that they know they have friends who have died as a direct link to legal highs. What would you say about that?
Well, I would say that's terrible, and I would say it probably does happen. But I mean, from what I know, there's no one
happened, we've only been down our first shop opened August last year, so we're relatively new. I know, there have been sort of, 80 or 90 cases throughout the country in the last couple of years where people have died as a result of legal highs, whether that's a direct result of legal highs or whether it's a result of going back to when I previously said about these guys who they will literally put anything in their system they can get hold of because they just can't face reality and can't face life, and then they get hold of a packet of legal highs, and it seems to be the straw that breaks the camel's back as such. It's just that too much. And obviously the first thing they do is they don't blame the alcohol, they don't blame the methadone or the heroin or the crack, they blame the legal highs, because that's the thing where they see the problem is at the moment.
Peter argues that banning legal highs won't make the problem go away. People will still find mind-altering substances, whether it's drugs, alcohol or something else. Peter says that officials need to solve the root cause of the problem that drives people towards legal highs. What's interesting is that some police officers agree with Peter, while others remain unconvinced.
Yeah, I would agree to that to a certain extent. I don't like seeing things like this available on our high streets when I know that it's made people ill, but I do accept that people will always try something, particularly young people will want to try things that they maybe think that they shouldn't be having. So I think the message there has really got to be about empowering young people to make the right decisions and make the right choices, and to really make them aware that even if all their friends might be taking a substance that looks attractive on the packaging and actually their friends may have been fine if they've taken it, that doesn't mean that they will be, because as I say, it can have a very different effect on each individual.
I think that's an excuse from people who want to make a profit out of selling poisonous substances to young people. There should be no excuse for selling those sort of substances. I think on a wider social issue, there is the question of why do young people want to take mind-altering substances, particularly that are dangerous and we know kill. 3 people have lost their life, young people, and 1 person is seriously ill in Hampshire after recently taking these things. They should be banned.
There are claims that Peter's shops are creating antisocial behaviour, but he says he's being targeted by the police.
The officer, I can't remember his name, but he's like our caseworker. He's the guy that came into our shop and removed all our legals, sent it away and got it tested, and then had to then give it back because they arrested me, went and searched my house. Is that antisocial behaviour? Are people walking in the shop and buying this stuff and chatting to a couple of their friends? Is that antisocial behaviour? He had a list of stuff which he said was due to the shop being there. One of them I noticed was 2 10-year-old kids sat on a wall being a bit noisy. I mean, is that really anything to do with our shop? We don't sell, we ID everyone, we're quite stringent on who we do and don't sell stuff to. We do patrols in the Portsmouth shop because we are aware of the problem.
The subject of legal highs is highly controversial and one that's sure to attract headlines for months to come. Ultimately, Peter argues that banning legal highs outright would create more problems.
If they drive this stuff underground, they don't think, oh, we'll ban it. They don't honestly think that the Russians or whoever it is who are making this stuff are just going to turn around and say, oh, well, we'll stop making it then. They're just going to give it to the street guys and it's just going to become a Wild West. And then you will have problem with kids getting hold of it, and you will have problems with people dying, more so than you have now, because there'll be God knows what's in it. At the moment, at least the shops and the shop owners know that what they buy and what they put on their shelves has to be legally available. If they're buying a packet off the street, God knows what's in it, and God knows what harm it's going to do to people.
It changes lives, it damages lives, and I just really, really hope that one day we can firstly stop the head shops, because I think that is a big concern, and also, like I say, just to keep raising awareness to our younger children, to our young adults, and anyone, just to be safe and just don't try and take them. It's not worth the end result.
Dale McEwan, Solent Weekend News.